You're listening to Rockfight Radio. Oh, you got DJ CT back with you spinning the hits, and it's that time because we have another new song from that hit machine, Fitz. And Fitz wants to ask you, why just settle for a smart sock when you can opt for a smarter sock?
You've got a million choices lying on the floor. Thin ones, thick ones, even some you never wore. But there's a sock whose specs rise above the rest. Don't settle for a smart one when the smarter sock is best. Opt for the smarter sock. Fitz. Fitz is the smarter sock. Fitz. Whole foot comfort is the answer to the question of the knit. Fitz. Opt for the smarter sock. Fitz. Whole foot comfort is the goal. It's only common sense with 4 different patents. The difference is immense. The Y line's added volume really is legit. To the next level comfort of the fit we call Fitz. Opt for the smarter sock. Fitz. Fitz is the smarter sock. Fitz. Whole foot comfort is the answer to the question of the knit. Fitz. Opt for the smarter sock. Fitz. The smarter sock. Fitz. Fitz is the smarter sock. Fitz. Whole foot comfort is the answer to the question of the knit. Fitz. Opt for the smarter sock. Fitz.
And now, back to the show. Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin, and today I'll be joined by producer Dave, along with outdoor author, journalist, and pop culture aficionado, and of course rock fighter Shawnté Salabert, to review some of the latest outdoor brand videos released by outdoor brands over the past couple of weeks. But before we get to that, if you missed Monday's episode of the Rock Fight, you missed producer Dave, Owen Comerford, and I talking about how we kickstart innovation in the outdoor industry. And then on Wednesday, Justin Hausman and I talked about mental health in the outdoors and also answered listener emails about your favorite brands of socks. And then just yesterday, we put up an emergency reaction podcast with myself and Owen, reacting to the news that Stio is up for sale. What a week it's been. Well, let's cap it off right now with some brand videos. Let's start the show. All right, we got a new segment here on the Rock Fight. We're calling this the Outdoor Brand Video Review. And over the past week, I noticed a ton of new outdoor and athletic brand videos that were popping up on YouTube. It must be the season. But it also made me reflect on the special place these videos hold, kind of in the culture of the outdoor industry. Having worked at brands, there's a lot of work and thought that go into these videos, even though I feel like there's very little return. But we'll talk about that in a second. But with me to break 3 of these down, 3 new outdoor brand videos, is author, writer, and podcaster Shawnté Salabert, as well as Rock Fight fan favorite, producer Dave. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing out there?
I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning. Very exciting. Today is going to be a merging of 2 of my biggest interests, so I'm very excited.
What is the merge of those interests?
You and Dave.
Aww.
and early morning starts.
Yes. Yeah. Is this early morning? Listeners, it is 9:13. I don't know if this qualifies as
on the
early
West Coast. Yeah. Dave, how we doing?
We're doing fine.
I can't believe, actually, David, as long as we've known each other and as long as we've been making this podcast, that we haven't done one of these before. This seems kind of like right in our wheelhouse.
I agree. I thought the same thing when you sent this over. Like, oh, yeah, we probably should have done this a while ago.
Well, today we're going to define what makes a good brand video. Do we prefer a product video over a brand video? We'll establish some criteria for a successful outdoor brand video. And then we're going to take a look at some recently released videos from brands like Puma, On, and Outdoor Research. But let's start with personal experience with these videos. To that point, Dave, let's start with you. Like, you've been behind the scenes on many of these brand videos. What makes a good one from your point of view?
I don't think you can ask that so broadly, Colin.
So they are indeed a waste of time and money.
There's so many types of brand videos, and that's the nice thing about a brand video is that it can be used to accomplish many different kind of purposes. I mean, is it an origin video to tell where you came from? Is it a product highlight video, kind of your technology? Is it a positioning video? Sometimes that overlaps with your origin, but so I guess there's really a lot of ways that you can things that you can accomplish with a branded video that is different from a commercial, right, which has a very specific purpose, concept, and typically limited by time, But with the brand video, I mean, if there was one thing that connected them all together, I would say, after 15 seconds, do I want to watch the next 15 seconds? Right? I mean, come on. That's what we're talking about here. Is it engaging? Is it entertaining? Is it interesting? Right? Is it unique? Like, those are just kind of basics of good creative in general, and the brand video is just kind of one of those centerpieces of, am I making something that my audience will find interesting and compelling?
I mean, it's not unlike any other sort of other visual media in a way, even though it's promotional, and that you have to consider your audience probably first and foremost. Maybe some of my sort of critiques are often like, did you think about who you really wanted to watch this and why?
Well, and a brand video tends to have one of the broadest audiences that you have. I mean, again, a brand video, let's trip it back, is a stakeholder video, right? I need to speak to my consumers. I need to speak to my internal team. I need to speak to my sales force. I need to speak to my investors, right? I mean, everybody needs to be able to get something out of a true brand video. Otherwise, it becomes a consumer video or a trade video, that kind of idea.
Shawnté, what are you looking for in a good brand video?
Well, I'm coming at this from a completely different perspective, and that is, listeners probably don't know this, but I work in the music licensing world, and I've done that for 18 years. So for me, I'm over here on the side of things where I'm pitching music for ads and for brand videos and things like that. And so for me, when I look at a good video, I immediately laser in on music and sound design. It's actually at this point a character flaw because I can't even go to the movies without looking at trailers and being mad at the song choices. Like, I could have sent you a better song for that. It is, I have a lot of opinions, and it is, I laugh sometimes, and I think doing this work for so long has ruined me for any sort of visual media because I always think I could have done it better.
And you probably could have, let's be honest.
That's just a part of the creative mindset, Shawnté. You have to have a bit of that. I could have done that better, and I wish I had done that.
Yeah,
right? I mean, what does Martin Scorsese know?
Two reactions,
fuck's that guy
right?
know?
Two reactions.
Listen, I mean, I've licensed to Apple, Nike. I did a big Coinbase spot. I've done several Super Bowl ads. Like, when I think about brand videos, music is a compelling factor, and it's something I thought about in the ones that we were listening to or watching. See, I'm always listening. Watching today is, how is music used, and does it help add to the story? Does it drive the story? Music's another character, in my opinion, and I'm very heavily biased, but I really do think, just as somebody who chooses to sit through ads and chooses to sit through trailers because I'm a weirdo like that, I have some pretty deep opinions, but I think it all has to work together to tell a cohesive story. And, Dave obviously was talking about the fact that it needs to speak to this kind of big audience. But yeah, if there's no message coming across, I need to know, what are you trying to tell me? And if I can't figure that out in the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds, maybe, if I'm being generous, I'm out.
Right. Well, I think music is probably the most underutilized, underappreciated aspect of building a video content, right? Because not only does it, I mean, you're talking about, do I know what you're talking about or trying to say in the first bite? Absolutely. I would say also equally important, and where music is primary, is, what am I feeling?
Yeah.
Right. And music is, like I said, I have listened to more hours of stock everything than I would ever want to admit to. And same thing with footage, because again, that's another province of the brand video, is that it's undervalued and undercapitalized, right? As we try to build these things. So you're always piecing together with found footage, old assets, stock this, a little shoot that, what can I piece together and create some cohesiveness? So you're constantly using kind of different filters or kind of ways to make the footage match, and looking for that piece of music that you can afford, because what you talked about too, there is a cost to paying for good music or recognizable music, and rightly so. But more importantly, music that's going to make you feel.
Yes.
And I would rather have more basic footage and a killer track any day of the week.
That's right. Wow. So everybody who's listening, who works at a brand, listen to Dave and then give me an email and I'll hook you up. No,
That's
seriously.
right.
I mean, the emotion is really important, and it's so much of my job. There's part of it is musicology, trying to figure out, like, interpreting. Of course, this is the bane of any creative's existence, interpreting what your client wants. But I think about stuff like I license a ton of music to film and TV as well, and so I think about, like, for instance, I did a really killer scene once in Orange Is the New Black, where it was such a specific need, and it's I forget the character's name, but it's she's got Alzheimer's, and they're doing a compassionate release, quote, compassionate release, where they just kind of kick her out on the street, and it's the end of the episode, and the supervisor is looking for this song and just not finding the right thing, and I nailed it, and it's one of my favorite licenses ever. But I watched that show for the first time years later and watched that episode, and I started crying, and it's a song I licensed for the scene, but I'm still crying
But
because
it
of
still
the
works.
emotional impact. It still works. It's like, even though I know that song in a deep way and I've licensed it to other things, the way it was used there just hit me. And I think about that with advertising. Listen, like, a brand video is simply, you want to, there's some emotion you want to get out of people who are watching it. And I think we see that with all three today to different degrees.
Well, one in particular, for sure.
One in particular. But I think you want to elicit something out of the person viewing, because otherwise,
Right.
what is the point? If somebody just watches it and they check out and they're not at all interested, you want that video that is going to be written about in blogs. People are going to chat about it. It's going to be written about in the trades. Like, that's what you want. You want to have some sort of lasting impact. And yeah, the storytelling, the emotion, all of it has to tie together.
Well, in this medium, it's even more impactful, right? Because we're talking, like, today, I think it's like 40 to 60 seconds of the videos we're talking about. Typically, you're in that 60-second time frame for a video like this. It has to hit, and it has to you have to get that emotional resonance in a pretty short amount of time, too.
Yeah.
Right? So the music is probably the easiest way to get there.
Well, easy, hardest. I mean, look.
Right.
Look,
Yeah.
I think, though, the other issue is that we've seen this in photography through Instagram and things like that. Quality visuals are not hard to do now, right?
That's true.
We've got drones everywhere. We've got a stock level
Steven
has
Soderbergh's
gone up
making feature films on his iPhone.
huge, right? And so story and emotion now have to be the concept of which we apply those great looking visuals to, and the music that ties them together. And so that's still a province where we can create some uniqueness. We can we can call halo with sounds that bring nostalgia to a piece, or an emotion that's already baked into that song through, at least generationally. But yeah, no longer are just compelling visuals enough. And I think you've got to be. It's always been true, but really now, everyone's got great looking visuals. It's what's the story and what do I feel?
So before we get into the three that we're talking about today, and I know we're talking, and Dave, to your point, like, it's a lot, it does matter, and like what the intent is, and there's a lot of different ways to kind of drill this down. But speaking broadly, it's just in both of your histories, what are some things that brands are likely to get right in a brand video, and especially for the outdoor space, and what maybe do they get wrong a little more consistently? Are there any consistencies that you kind of see coming out of the outdoor space when it comes to how well or how poorly executed a brand video is?
I mean, off the bat, I think aspirational. Like, you have to, for the viewer to be able to see themselves reflected, and we're talking more on the consumer side, of course, but I think the element of inspiration and aspiration, like, either I'm inspired to do something in my life, or I aspire to be like what I'm seeing on the screen. I aspire to own that. I aspire to run like that person. I aspire to go to that place. Like, there has to be something in there, I think, especially from an outdoor perspective. 'Cause think about, like, we talk about awe and wonder being these kind of key components of why being outside is so good for us in general. Like, there's studies that show this now. The same thing goes for these videos. I think you need to see that awe and that wonder reflected in a way that makes you think, like, oh, hell yeah, I want to get in there. I want to be in that video.
What do they get right? Boy, that's a tough one.
You want to go with what they get wrong, that's fine.
Judgy.
This is the rock fight, after all.
I will say I have probably been pretty harsh for the most part on the general state of the outdoor brand video. Certainly, when you see one that you like, you really want to respond to it well. But I see a lot of stock music. I see a lot of general platitudes. I see a lot of the same points being made. This is where we've come from. This is why we're here. And again, standing on a mountaintop, silhouetted against the sunset. You get a lot of that. So genuinely interesting conceptual pieces are still hard to find, I think, in our industry. As we see the bigger players, the athletic players come in, things like that, you're getting a more sophisticated storytelling for sure. And obviously, Patagonia and North Face have been playing at this kind of level for a long time. But, Patagonia, do they do a straight brand video, or are they just about documentary
Not really.
as a position, which works? I mean, it's their people in their products, in their environments. And that's, again, a crucial element of a brand video, too, is kind of defining who you are and where you belong and what you do.
You see product videos from them, and maybe next time we do this, we'll do more product videos versus just general
that's
brand
not
videos.
a bad idea.
And I think that'd be good to get drill into that. I think the how it stays with you, because like we did a few months ago, we talked about the North Face had their We Don't Play Games campaign, whatever it was.
Yep.
And it's funny, that video actually at the time, I remember thinking like, oh, it's pretty cool, but it's kind of typical top of the mountain stuff. But it definitely, I reflect back on it kind of a lot, actually. I think about that because of how visually interesting it is. And kind of, Shawnté, to your point too about what do you take with it and what sticks with you. Just earlier today, I was served in sort of Instagram Reels. Someone put up, I came across the old, it was a Nike ad from the late 90s. It was, the Chicks Dig the Long Ball ad. I don't know if you guys recall that one, where it had Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux. Now that doesn't hold up at all. One, because there's definitely there's some misogyny going on there, and there's also the fact that we all know now that Mark McGuire, who's featured in there, and everyone was juicing like crazy. But I remembered that ad immediately. I watched the whole thing again, and I was genuinely entertained by it. But it is a 30-year-old spot, like not again outdoor, but it is those little beats that like what sticks with you versus the countless other athletic videos that I've seen over or commercials over the last 30 years that I have immediately forgotten.
Colin, I would also say though that strays into a distinct difference between a commercial spot and a brand video. Right. They are not the same thing, and they're not going to perform in the same way or make you feel in the same. I mean, there's obviously some similarities in the bits that make up the construction, right? Moving pictures, sound, editing, all of that. But I think they are distinctly different beasts, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a brand video is sort of, in my opinion, establishing, like deepening your connection with the brand, teaching you about the brand. Like it's
their values are coming across.
Yeah, the values, who they are, their identity. And a commercial is like, I would like to sell you something, whether that's a product or an experience. Like that, it's a very different, I mean, they can come to the same end eventually, because the brand wants you to know the brand so that you can buy things from them.
Right.
But yeah, different, absolutely different means to an end here.
I guess a couple other just even like logistical questions before we get into the ones we're going to talk about. Like, what's the shelf life of one of these things? Like, how long should it last? Like, what's the point of it? If it gets dropped, these some of the ones we're talking about today came out in the last couple of weeks. How long should they be relevant? Should they be timeless? Should it be like this is a seasonal thing and don't expect more of them because of that?
Yeah, I mean, we live in an age of short attention span theater, so I don't know that anyone expects them to have a long shelf life. I mean, that's the dream, right? Especially when you're talking about, say, bigger brands who are maybe angling for advertising awards, that sort of, elongate. I'm full of weird words this morning, guys.
And alliteration.
That's me. I'm going to break into haiku pretty soon. But, it sort of gives you that staying power of the brand identity if you get, whether it's press hits, I think is really important for some brands, and just social chatter and things like that. But really, I don't know, a month maybe if you're lucky. That seems like maybe too long, honestly. Not that you don't want it to last that long, but I just don't know that we have the attentions for anything longer than that.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the nuance piece of it, right? Look, if it's a seasonal campaign, where you've got a product drop or it's a theme or a tagline that you're promoting, then it's going to have a much shorter shelf life. But if it's a true brand origin story, a kind of a positioning, then it can have a longer shelf life, even up to a couple years. However, it's the audience shift that becomes different. If you just drop it on YouTube and think it's going to remain getting attention for 2 years, that's not going to happen at all, right? So to that point, to Shawnté's point, it's going to be a much quicker kind of, it's going to find its peak and then level off. However, I don't think that's the best use of a brand video. A brand video is best deployed one-on-one from the sales force to the rep or the retailer, where they can present the line and they've got an iPad or a computer, or they can project it up in there, and it's one-on-one small group meetings, right? Or it's part of these presentations where it augments your presentation, and then we can cut away for a couple minutes and tell this story and then go back to presenting the line. That's where you get, I think, the best use of the brand story, the format, the whole thing is in those smaller group meetings of stakeholders where they can focus on it. They're not being distracted by all the different elements that go onto it. They don't need the hook of a 60-second commercial just to nail you and get in. You got a little bit more time for storytelling, like you said, that deeper connection as to who they are, what they are. So I think that's kind of how you can extend the life of your brand video, just having expectation from what customer, what audience you're showing it to. Don't expect the YouTube placement to garner years and years of new followers and viewers.
Well, that was going to be my kind of final question before we get into it, is like, how should they be deployed? I think you just touched on it, Dave. And the thing about that is that takes a particular a representative from a brand of a particular level of skill to kind of like figure out a way to do that well, right? There's definitely folks who like, hey, you should show this at, next time you're meeting with a customer or whatever, who just maybe wouldn't know how to quite work that into their presentation and have it be in a meaningful way. And a lot of times I've seen this happen. I'm sure you have as well. Actually, you and I may have been in the same room when this has happened, David. But someone shows a brand video or a campaign video to a customer and not really understanding, like, why are we watching this? We're just putting this up there. Like, yeah, we're just watching this now. No, all right, now I'm going to show you the products that we're selling you. So it is but to exactly what you said, if you do it well, and it kind of sets the tone of the room, and it kind of allows you, and you feed off the energy of that video or the commentary in that video or whatever you just saw into, hey, this is actually why we should be working together. Then it becomes this really powerful statement. Who's good at that or not is definitely up for debate.
Right. Look, you can cry with boredom or you can cry with emotion. And I'm happy to say that we have made videos that have made some of those stakeholders cry with emotion when they see the brand that they belong with, or that the let's call it the outdoor lifestyle that they're a part of represented in that way. And it can be emotional.
The more fun version of that is when you go through all the, the pomp and circumstance, showing all this stuff. And then they're like, yeah, that's great. You're still 18 months behind on delivery.
Well, there's that. Or when you've set up the whole presentation, you've played it 18 times in a row and it's always worked except for that moment where you
except for
play,
that one.
And there's no sound. There's no sound, right?
Sad trombone.
Yeah. That's rite of passage.
Well, let's get into the ones we're going to talk about today. So I think the criteria we want to talk about for today is, what do we want from the video, from the brand we're talking about? What worked? What didn't work? Recommendations you would have maybe for the creative team, or kudos for the creative team behind the scenes. And then a final rating. We're going to go full Siskel and Ebert and thumbs up, thumb down. There's 3 of us, so it's great. We'll end up with a majority we approve of these 3. And the 3 we're going to be looking at is a video by On, one by Puma, and one by Outdoor Research. Actually, we're going to go On, Outdoor Research, then Puma. So we're going to go through each video, talk about what happens. Each video is linked in the show notes. So listeners, if you want to pause the podcast, go watch them and come back and hear our thoughts on it, go for it. If you just want to go ahead and plow ahead and raw dog this episode with no idea of what we're commenting on, cool. Choose violence. We won't judge around here. That's totally
we love
fine.
it, actually.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, just the chaos of a video watch along. So the first video we watched was On. It's their Dream Together campaign, or it's called Dream Together with Zendaya. So On breaking out the big dogs. What do you think they paid for Zendaya, Shawnté? See, it's Zendaya. I'm pretty sure it's
Zendaya. Have I been wrong this entire time? In my head, it's
I think
always
we need
Zendaya,
to settle this right now.
Let's settle it. Dave, you be the arbiter.
Things to research before you get on a podcast.
I think I learned that probably from listening to pop culture podcasts, so they all could be wrong too. I think it's Zendaya.
Okay, well, go with Zendaya and just know that I live in a cave.
The outdoor audience will write in and tell us if we're wrong.
It's true.
But if you find out then we'll give the opportunity.
Will they, Colin? It's On, Will they? Will they care about this one? Is this an
I don't
outdoor
know.
brand video at all?
I mean, On's become a $1 billion footwear brand who does show up in outdoor stores. So, yeah, they think they'll care. I don't know if they'll care about this video. They care about On. So, Dream Together with Zendaya, all right? The video opens on a stacked On logo, and we fade in on Zendaya's looking very serious. There's cinematic music. This is where Shawnté is going to be either be happy or not happy. Which sets an equally serious tone. The light hits Zendaya's face. She turns, looks at the camera and to the audience and says, "Together." We then get a thumping soundtrack with a series of quick cuts and Zendaya's narration of move, learn, dream together. And this is where things start to get odd because then we get a ton of choreographed extras moving in a unique dance, multiple colors of people, multiple genders, multiple abilities, like there are folks in wheelchairs. And there is a modern dance thing happening until it gets to a break in the action. And then there's Zendaya just standing there in some jeans, either smirking at the camera or looking up wistfully. Then that goes around to a next round of narration with Zendaya saying, win, lose, fail, try again, get back up, grow together, all while the choreographed movements of at least 100 individuals are happening interspersed with random static shots of Zendaya doing absolutely nothing. I'm assuming the choreography is meant to represent the words we are hearing. Then Zendaya repeats the first words of the then she repeats the first series of words, move, learn, dream together, before it culminates with the phrase, whether we're athletes or not. And that line is punctuated by Zendaya finishing it with the camera pushed up on her face, her looking right at the viewer, telling us that Zendaya has finished her half day of shooting. The video ends with the text, dream together, dream on, the word on up on the screen.
Do you think they couldn't afford Aerosmith's Dream On? Just be honest right now. Dream on!
That would have been... Have they used that? If they haven't used that yet, they really are
Very
being missing.
I don't think even On can afford licensing that
They're
song.
$1 billion brand.
Yeah.
Sure they can.
They might be cheap in the music
I
department.
think this is where you get into a failure of imagination to cross that. Look what Nike just did with Led Zeppelin in their women's...
That is true.
Contemporary women's athlete ads. They dropped Led Zeppelin riffs. That's the kind of cross conflict that you get in tension between trends and audiences and art forms that create great work. Right now, it feels very Euro, which makes sense for On. I mean, the style. Colin, you did forget to mention the, super dark shadow dystopian treatment to what's going on.
Good point. Yeah, the color palette was very...
It is just absolutely... You're spot on the fact that they only had her for a half day. I'd say maybe even 2 hours. Like, there's just kind of two shots looking at the camera. They put her in the sound booth for the voiceover, for sure, and that's where they're getting their money from. But so you've got all those pieces together. It reminds me of a dystopian. I was really waiting for synchronized swimming to break out or something with all of that.
It had the synchronized
modern
swimming vibe for
It
sure.
really
the way
did.
The extras
really
were moving.
did.
Yeah. The choreography.
So I could see the European kind of influence to this in terms of and it's beautifully done. Like, let's be clear. Like, this is a high budget spot, high production value, lots of extras. They definitely put into it. But man, it's I would have to think, I'm looking at the YouTube feed for a spot like, and this is a spot, not a video. This is where I get to. This is a commercial. It's a 60-second commercial about a new campaign featuring their spokesperson. So it's not truly a brand video. So this is, to your point earlier, this is perishable. Like this goes away in a while in terms of zeitgeist, and it's going to have to be...
I'm glad we agree that it's perishable.
Yeah, it's going to have to be replaced. And I would have to think that the 121,000 views that they've got over the last 9 months is probably a little disappointing for the money that was spent on this. And I imagine they're using it in paid areas a lot more. So maybe they are getting the reach that they're looking for. And I think we should qualify all of this. We have no idea what the brief was, what the challenges that these creative teams are faced with, how to do it, what kind of
100%. This could have been executed to achieve what was asked of them.
Totally.
Like that is
all
what,
of these have that. It's really easy to sit back and poke holes in it.
What was this, though? Like, what was it? Like, okay, if it was a commercial, if it was a brand video, if it was a product video, I don't know because...
Oh, I know what it
was.
Okay,
what is it?
I go ahead, Colin. You want to finish your thought, and then I'll jump in. I'm going to throw a rock.
there were so many things about it that were so well done, but it didn't make any sense. It looked like an unintentional SNL parody of an athletic brand video. Like, just all of a sudden, the C's part, and there's Zendaya just standing there looking serious. Like, it felt to me like if the brief was, let's get an A-list celebrity and plug her in randomly to a video, we'll get mission accomplished. Otherwise, I don't really understand what the point was.
The point was, you're not the audience. The point is, I thought this was a great ad. Because it's not for any of us. This ad is to draw a younger audience to on. It's to make it cool. They're using a super hyped up celebrity. They're using a syncopated beat that has this sort of rhythmic nature. It doesn't break. Like a lot of ads, the music kind of goes up, it goes down, it dips in and out. This is very syncopated. It's very rhythmic. The music, the choreography is the same. The vibe is very cinematic. And the idea is to position this as a cool brand. I can't think, I might have actually pitched for this spot. I can't remember. But the production, the agency that worked on it is called Smuggler, and they do really cool cutting edge stuff. So it's like, there's so much about this that is not about a traditional audience, and it's about making the brand seem cooler. Honestly, it's a vibe video. It's not about selling a particular style of their shoe. It's not about getting you, Colin, to be like, oh gosh, I should go get a pair of Vons.
I didn't think it was for me.
It's absolutely
don't make that
not,
mistake.
clearly not for you. And it's not a traditional brand marketing kind of thing. This is in a way, maybe it is. It's to make the brand cooler for a different audience.
So two things before I let you chime in, Dave. One, I would have loved it if Zendaya hadn't been in it. That was the stuff that threw me off. Anytime all of a sudden she just popped up, I'm like, what is this? Like, why is she there? Like, they have this cool choreography, which is totally in the vibe and the color palette and the way it was looking. And then it's like, hold on, wait. Here she in a pair of jeans looking weirdly at the camera. That felt really,
Colin,
that was my biggest beef of the video.
We have a name for that. That's called the crowbar. Okay,
thank you. That's what it felt. It felt crowbarred.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I'll say is that knowing this was probably not for me, I showed it to my 14-year-old non-outdoorsy daughter who likes to dance, who takes dance lessons, who immediately saw Zendaya, said, I love Zendaya, loved the dancing, but at the end of it, she's like, I don't know what that was. Like, she had it did not resonate with her whatsoever at the end of it. Like, and there was no like takeaway for her at the end of it. There's another one on here, by the way, which is going to surprise you of the final two, which one she really liked. But so I don't know, and that's a sample of one. But I thought for sure of the three of them, this would be the one that would get her.
Right.
But
it's supposed to.
Really.
It's funny because it's probably supposed to get her because the whole, and Zendaya makes no sense from an athletic perspective. That's why she's how did that tagline was like, the athletic or not.
Or not.
Not to say
like
she
me
doesn't
in jeans in this
do running
commercial.
in her downtime. It was an interesting, it's a strange choice from all of our perspectives, but I get it from a cultural cachet perspective. Sometimes you just shoehorn, I guess this is the crowbar thing. You just like shoehorn something in because you're like, well, this is cool now.
Well, good point. If we're all making this video and we have this awesome piece and then someone at the last minute goes, hey, we could probably get Zendaya in this, we'd all say, okay.
Okay.
So it's a good point.
Totally.
Right?
I think all of that's spot on. I think, like you said, it is absolutely for a specific audience trying to do a specific thing, right? And to broaden the appeal. It's a lifestyle ad with a little bit of movement, i.e. performance, right? I think that's absolutely what it's doing. I think, again, this is where we said, the technical criticisms are all about how they're making it, the choices. Is that, you said the syncopated, is that the right one? Is it the good? Or could they have done something different? Sure. All those are creative choices that could be made. But at the end of the day, they are reaching a different audience with it for sure and positioning brand on as that type of brand.
So we don't think we see a single running shoe in the video that I noticed.
Yeah. I don't even care about that. Yeah.
But if it's a commercial, you guys say it's a commercial, not a brand video. Wouldn't they want, what are they selling?
Well, Colin, there are all types of commercials. There are brand commercials. Again, I'll go back to Nike's recent, winning ad. Like, there's no shoes in that. It's not about the shoe. It's about the.
So is this them trying to be more Nike? Is this sort of like almost them trying to level
everybody's
themselves
trying to be
up?
more Nike.
Everybody,
right? That's right.
I would say that this is actually. Overall, this still feels on brand to me for a Swiss-based running brand that is a little sleeker and more beautiful than, say, some of their other that fits the bill right there.
Right.
100%.
So I'm going to write down thumbs up from you two. All right, fine.
I'm going to go neutral.
I'm
You
a
can't
thumbs
go
up.
neutral. This is the rock fight. You have to commit.
Fine.
I'm gonna go down
We
just
know.
to be that guy.
It's just all right.
Dave.
We will have no
If
uniformity.
they'd have
no
gone
consensus.
into actual synchronized swimming, I would have been all over it. That would have been
You
fantastic.
can't do that in a tennis shoe.
Like
Do
all
not
joking
try
aside,
harder.
I would like to see the director's cut without Zendaya. You know, it would be interesting actually if she narrates it, but you never see her. It just didn't. It just felt like this big dingleberry in the middle of it, and the rest of it was so cool. And you had these incredible. The cinematography of it was beautiful, right? The way that the choreography was moving through, and then all of a sudden she just pops up, and you're like, it felt like an SNL sketch. I'm like, let me just throw this A-list celebrity in the middle of it, like awkwardly.
Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Okay.
Or Zendaya. We'll figure it out after the podcast.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Well, you know what? We refuse to answer the question unless Zendaya comes on the podcast to talk about it in an exclusive conversation with Shawnté Salabert.
I think that'll be great. Listen, I've interviewed Tom Hanks. I've interviewed the Kardashians. I can
See,
interview Zendaya.
Every time we hang out with Shawnté, she's like, did you think that time I solved the Cuban Missile Crisis? Ever tell you about that? I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
forgot about that one. I'll tell you later.
Wasn't even born yet, and she solved it. That's diplomacy, baby.
Can you just
I
start
get around.
writing like revisionist history for the like just you showing up at different time periods and fixing a problem over the last like
Be a
1,000
great
years?
screenplay about that.
That's my next book series. It's going to be a children's book series starring me.
It's Forrest Gump meets Quantum Leap.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh my God, Scott Bakula.
Well, wait a minute, but
Right?
is she as dumb as Forrest Gump in this book series? Like, what is
I'm
I'm
happening?
just saying
That's
she's
what I'm
just
saying.
well positioned, Colin.
4.0 student.
Okay.
All right, video number 2. Outdoor research rooted. All right, so this video opens with quick cuts that open the video with wide, outdoorsy, foggy vistas, close-ups on individuals, like an elderly man looking out the window, and narration talking about how people spend their whole lives looking for a place to call home and how some never do. We then get an older VHS-style shot of Ron Gregg, the founder of Outdoor Research, and the narration then pivots to talking about how the Pacific Northwest isn't just where we come from, it's where we sleep and where we eat. I'm sure Shawnté noted that shit is absent from what they do there. She's probably bummed out about that. The narration escalates talking about how the Northwest is what pushes them to be bolder and more adventurous, and this whole time we're seeing shots of volcanoes and people recreating and also the testing of technical fabrics. The video culminates with some standard narration about pushing past boundaries before ending with the narrator saying, "Born in the elements, built on the trail," and the word "rooted" prominently displayed on the screen. Notably absent through the 39-second runtime, they never once say the words "outdoor research." I don't know if that's an issue with you guys. I felt like that was would have felt like maybe they should have said that at the beginning. But overall, before I get too deep into that, impressions on Rooted by Outdoor Research.
I have thoughts. This video didn't hit the mark for me. This felt like a strange melange of all of the stock things that Dave was talking about earlier. It felt like stock music. It felt like stock footage. None of it felt special. And it's funny because I have positive views of Outdoor Research. We've talked about it in
Clearly.
the accessories, episode. And they're a go-to for me for certain things. And I have a really positive association, Outdoor Research and the outdoors. And there were some beautiful visuals in this, absolutely. But I came away, this is one of those ads, had I not watched it for this, that I would have walked away a couple minutes in, or a couple minutes. I watched it it was much longer for me, apparently.
15 seconds.
A couple seconds in, and I just would have been like, I don't know, all right, cool, it's nice. But it didn't even hit that inspirational, aspirational mark for me that I think it was close to hitting. It just didn't quite get there because everything felt like even the voiceover had no emotion to it. The voiceover was kind of dull. And I felt like all in all, it was like a rough draft version of what could have been.
You could have told me it was AI voiceover. I'd believe you, honestly.
Yeah. There was no heart.
Dave, thoughts on Rooted?
Thoughts on Rooted. Okay. I'm going to start with the fact that it is a proper brand video. It tells an origin story. It tells why we make our products. And like, again, you kind of see this. It's very literal, right? It's a very literal piece in terms of I show the founder, I show some dated footage, I show some technical things, and I show lots of fog and vista and people outdoors being very outdoorsy. So that's what it does. It is a brand video. It all stops. It's kind of at that point. It is the perfect specimen of a corporate brand video. Like she said, there's a lot of stock-looking footage, even if it isn't stock. It's just so generic in terms of what it's doing. It's disconnected, if you will, from any sense of emotion. The voiceover was truly disturbing in the sense that it felt like AI for sure. It was just
I love the outdoors.
weirdly cast, frankly. Like there's just a lot, and it's all subjective. There's a lot of ways you can go. I would be curious as to how they got to that and who didn't they cast for it. Me thinks this has the feeling of a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Oftentimes, when you get to something that is so middle of the road, you're getting input and forces from all sides.
It's a Franken video.
Yeah, what's that?
It's a Franken video.
Yeah, because you're very safe. This is definitely a middle of the road type of thing, right? You're not going too far out. I'm not feeling anything, but it's all on point on paper. How can you argue that this isn't on brand? Because it's literally everything the brand does, except make me feel why this brand is different.
Yeah, I had to double check a couple times. Like, hey, did this actually come out in like 2009? Like, you could have told me this is a bit of they're going for evergreen, sort of. This will last forever, but it doesn't stand out in a good way in 2025. It's playing the hits a little too much.
Yeah.
I did wonder if maybe we re-edit it with Zendaya emerging from the summit of Rainier. Would all of a sudden it go up a notch for you guys? Is that
The footage is so generic. You could probably put a lot of different voiceovers to it, and it would work. And maybe even work better.
I think, it's just, look, I think this is like I said, a couple specific things. Like, I think they should have said outdoor research because, like, they're really trying to hit a tone at the beginning of, like, where your home is,
Colin,
who you are, where you're from.
Aren't we nitpick? Really? That's going to change the trajectory of this?
I don't think that's going to change the trajectory. I think, like, I think that was a kind of a misstep from the beginning, too. I've never really liked the home-based marketing of, like, oh, we're from this area, and that's why we're awesome. I haven't liked that since it was a thing in the early 2000s either. So, like, it definitely missed a mark on a bunch of different levels, in addition to everything else you said. The one thing I will say, this is the one that got the thumbs up from my 14-year-old because she thought it was cool seeing all the different, because of the imagery. She's like, other kids my age would not have seen stuff like this before, which I was like, okay, that's interesting. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's playing the hits. It's just a standard outdoor brand video with a, nondescript white guy narrating and, well, I don't really know what you do with it.
I don't know because it didn't even feel like a great corporate video to me because I've licensed music to corporate sizzle reels, where they're just really showing them internally, they're showing them at trade shows, whatever. And even that, they're so picky with the music to make sure the music is part of it. And this was just so clearly stock music and bad stock, like really bad middle of the road, trying to be inspirational, aspirational, have some anthemic build to it. But it didn't there was not one half of a heartstring of mine that got plucked. I did not come away feeling warm and fuzzy about this brand, even though I already like the brand.
Right. I'm in your camp already.
I'm
like, speak
there,
to
guys.
me. Yeah,
You might be pushing me away. I don't know. Who is this for? Who is, and what did they want to accomplish with this? It's so unclear to me.
Well, let me just last kind of bits on that is that I think you have to take everything you just said kind of speaks to budget. So clearly they didn't have a ton to put to this, and so they put their money into making some of those visuals, even though they're generic. There's some original stuff in there, and it's high quality visual, but the edit and the voice and the music lacked because I think that you can see that in it.
Well, there's a world where if this is truly like, hey, we're marketing budget's a little thin this year. Here we have 40 plus years worth of video archives. Go through, piece together kind of a new cool video. I can see that. There's probably there's a scenario where that works out. This just kind of I missed the worst case scenario or something like that.
The other thing too about the visuals versus the sound and the voiceover is when you talk, like you said, a trade show. Oftentimes we're looking for things that can be played without sound at all and still track. And this does that. Like, I get what you're talking about visually without the sound or the voice. I don't need any of that to get that this is an outdoor brand that makes outdoor technologies that people use in beautiful places.
Yeah, but I think I'd rather see the on video without sound in a trade show because then you're gonna look at them like, what's going on there? Like, this just tracks with what we expect from an outdoor brand. Like, oh look, there's a volcano. Oh, there's a misty mountain.
This is where though you'd like to ideally have a messaging mix that goes from emotional type of concepts to rational, literal type of messages, and you bounce them back and forth. So, it's not one or the other. It's both played in a cadence.
Well, I'm assuming we're all voting down on this one. Thumbs down.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. Because
We love you, Outdoors.
like the brand.
I love you.
Like the product.
I have so many of your gloves.
All right, our last video by Puma. It's Go Wild is the name of it. And in this video, we open on a Puma logo. The sound of an alarm is going off, and you get a close-up on someone's eye opening in the dark. For those of a particular age, we get a familiar bass line and beat and the voice of, or a good imitation of the voice of Afro Man kicking in with a familiar singing of And Then I Got High. In my research, I couldn't find if it was actually Afro Man or not. I found that this was, it is, okay. Did he re-record? It's a remix, but did he record anything new?
He may have, but it is him.
Okay, that's great. That makes this even better. We go through multiple life scenarios, all showing the stressful times and situations that can be helped by getting that runner's high. Situations like sleeping in late, having a baby that needs a nap, texting an ex, driving to work. And the video culminates with the joy and smiling that comes with running, juxtaposed by the glares and scowls of those who didn't choose to get high while running, while Afro Man, apparently we know now truly Afro Man, singing La Da 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 behind the happy runners. And the video ends with the words, for the runner's high, followed by the name Puma and the phrase, go wild. My only real nitpick on this is, I don't know what go wild is in relation to this video. I guess assuming this is part of a broader go wild campaign, it doesn't really fit this. But that's a kind of just really is picking nits, because is this like a perfect video? Honestly,
video.
just
A+++++. This is, I'm not even surprised. I looked up the agency behind this, and it's Adam and Eve BBDO. And BBDO is one of the biggest, most accomplished ad agencies in the world. I was not surprised. They've done some incredible ads. And this it hit everything. It was like everything you want in an ad, everything I want in an ad. I would have stayed and watched this if it was playing on Hulu in between shows. I would not have fast forwarded or paused. It's like, you know what? Have you guys seen the Dove ad that's out that uses my neck, my back?
I don't know if I have.
This, oh my gosh. Okay, Colin, look it up after this. Here's the thing. Both of these ads sit in the same world. They're hitting humor. They're hitting nostalgia for people at least of a certain age and a certain musical taste. And they're doing it in a really cheeky way that if you don't know the song and you don't know the history of the song, you're just like, well, that's kind of interesting. Like my neck, my back. And they're putting lotion on in a Dove ad. And that song is like dirty, very, very dirty. Afro Man's I Want to Get High, which is a lot more obvious in the lyrics here, is about smoking a doobs. So it's like the whole thing is just so great because it hits at every level. It's it's humorous. Doesn't take itself seriously. It's got like this lackadaisical song paired against this idea of like running and stuff. It's just A++++. Give them all the awards, please.
What do you got, Dave?
I believe we are easily amused.
Yes.
Whoa, Dave is zagging.
Right? You thought this was a slam dunk?
I thought it was a slam dunk.
I agree with so much of that, right? Again, the song's genius. The position of that is genius. I don't get what it has to do with the Go Wild campaign necessarily.
That's
I think
my
there's a
only
little
thing.
bit.
Yeah.
Again, because we're right. But okay, to me, that's even secondary. All of the instances are good. The pacing is good. All of that. My only quibble is with the art direction. I feel like the photography that was used, the cinematography, is pretty basic. It's pretty plain. In contrast to the song, which is so gritty, and you can feel the resonance in the voice and the bass line, and of course the subject matter. I think they could have done more with, and again, do I have athletes or actors, right? I think there could have been done more with the performances of the people to sell this idea of runner's high, of this sense, this lighter levity sense that the song is bringing, for sure. Again, hard to do between actors and athletes. How do you do that? And they were trying to blend that. But that's my quibble with it, is that I think you could have been done harder in the acting and the visual presentation to go along with the killer song and the position. I mean, the concept is fantastic. And I don't think that's going to impact its popularity. People are going to look right over that and hear the song and get the double entendre and think that's the cleverest, coolest, subversive thing in their day.
Oh, this song is being talked about on all of the, not just the advertising websites
right.
and blogs, but broadly. And that's
Totally.
exactly the goal of a campaign like that by a major global brand. You know, this is exactly what you want, is for people to be talking about your ad.
That's why you pay for it.
That's why you pay for that song. Like, I think this video is really about the song and the juxtaposition of that. And I think that that's probably where you're seeing that disconnect for you and how the visuals come across, is that their focus is that song lending that cultural cachet and that wink and a nod. You know, that it's doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
Right. I mean, you could have gone into a more of a homemade Clerk style type of videography,
Oh my God, I would've
and would have
loved that.
changed the whole tone of this piece, yet still done everything that they're doing. Same performance, same places, just that little bit of an indie vibe to go with the song would have brought that together.
Isn't this picking nits as well, though? I mean, isn't that kind of
totally.
picking nits?
Yeah,
This is us dreaming about the work we're going to get as an agency, guys. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Right.
Dave,
Are
come
you
on,
kidding?
man. We're resurrecting.
Have you seen the comments at an advertising awards show? I mean, my God, the levels of shit that can be layered upon really great work is amazing.
Listen, just think about all of the emails we'd get at myrockfight@gmail.com. Your ad sucked, you losers.
That's
Stick to podcasting.
right. That's
Yes, we did it, guys. We have true hate in the world now because of what we made.
Listen, I want to feel big, okay? I want my feelings to be big. I want
That's
people to
right.
give me big feelings. No middle of the road stuff. Go big or go home.
The reason you both are here, obviously, are the technical level of expertise you both bring. I think there's something about this, watching this, and obviously it's the reason why it is so talked about. It goes back to something we were talking a little bit about in the innovation episode last week that Dave, you and I did with Owen, is that, and I know this is a running brand, this isn't outdoor research, but it's like more of this, please bring something different. Please don't just lean. You can have the vistas and the outdoorsy stuff. It can exist, but also like bring this vibe. Like people understand what it is to go outside now. You don't need to explain to them like you're going to go out and climb up a mountain and you're going to be on a trail. It's like, no, like we get that. That's what you exist to do. But go this route with that messaging and make it fun and make it different and think a little sillier and play on the pop culture references that people understand. And I just would like to see more of that for sure. That's why I love this so much. It was a running video with Afro Man's song in it. Like just, yep,
There
sign
you
me
go.
up for that
Right?
all day long.
You got me. Right? No doubt.
Are we all thumbs up, or Dave, are you going to go thumbs down just
Oh,
to be a
no.
contrarian?
I'm thumbs up. I said I'm
Well,
quibbling.
you didn't seem to like it very much, Dave.
Oh, he had one small nitpick. It was really, come on, it's the art director in him. I think we are all like, I'm 2 thumbs up, in fact. So
Oh,
we've added a 4th thumb to the mix.
so we're basically we're split on. You guys went thumbs up, I went thumbs down. So what, two against one. Outdoor research, we are sorry, but we all went. We were unified in our thumbs down, and we are unified with Puma.
And I
in our
genuinely
thumbs
feel
up.
bad about that.
I know. We like you guys so much. I promise. Listen, if you want some creative consulting, just hit me up. Seriously. I think there's so much they could do. I mean, we talk about budget is a real factor, right?
Sure.
But we also talked earlier about how there's so many ways to sort of create compelling things at a low budget. And I think humor is one thing, and like cinema verite, like kind of leaning into some of this more homegrown vibes would be really interesting to see in a future spot from Outdoor Research. They're a brand that I think takes themselves fairly seriously. So it would be, I would notice if they started injecting humor into things. Like I would be shocked.
Yeah.
I used to write for their blog, and my blogs for them were all humorous. Like that can be part of their brand identity, but I think the blog was pretty separate from kind of the other marketing. So I think it's all possible, and it's a brand like that. I would love to see something cheeky come from them. Like even if it's
I made fun of it, I think
teaser.
on our top 5 accessories episode, but like first thing I would say is let's do a whole series of videos around the Seattle sombrero. Like make it a sort of anthropomorphic Seattle sombrero, like going on adventures and people
Yes.
getting hot when it's hot. I don't know, just like
Don't give them
right,
all
take-
our details for free. Oh my
Right, you have this kind of odd but iconic. It's odd and iconic sort of product. Like I don't know, like what
Listen,
can we do
the
with just
desert
that?
mullet hat? Like, why is there not a whole thing based on let's take that desert mullet hat out? I volunteer as tribute for this.
Maybe it's the Seattle sombrero family reunion, and the desert mullet hat is
my
there
gosh.
too, right? You know, and they're all hanging out and not talking about things. I don't know,
Listen,
but
Outdoor Research, call us.
yes, myrockfight@gmail.com.
.org.
Rockfight Creative has apparently started now because Shawnté is willing it into existence.
It's happening, guys. It's happening.
I think it's good. Anything else, guys?
No, I feel satisfied and caffeinated.
Great way to start the day.
Yes.
All right, that's the show. No parting shot for today, but we do want your emails, like we said. Do you agree with our assessment? Have you viewed these brand videos? Which brand or product videos should we review next? Send it all to myrockfight@gmail.com. Today's episode was produced by producer David Karstad. Art direction provided by Sarah. Animate this, Gensert. The Rock Fight is a production of Rockfight LLC for Shawnté Salabert. I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening. And here to take us out is our guy Krista Makes with the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Awesome.
See, original music.
Rock fight.